I'm not in my normal spot.
Yes, that is true. Great looking out for the audio only community out there.
I'm not in my normal spot. I need everybody to know that. And I am hoping that everything goes okay. There are so many variables that might make this show a little bit scuffed, but I am committed to putting an episode out, even though I am at the Alienware Training Facility, Utrecht, in the Netherlands. I'm at my Europe office. I've been here for a couple days, and honestly, I think my setup at home's more attractive. This light that's on me, kind of making me too white. This background behind me, just whatever. Look,
Yeah,
jerseys.
jerseys are gross, weird. It's like
Mm.
you're shilling for liquid or something. What is this your first time in the Netherlands?
It is my second time in the Netherlands. I spent 48 hours in Amsterdam once. Um, the last time I was in the Netherlands was actually I was in a hostel, and that is where I applied to work at Team Liquid, high on a space cake. I hope my mom isn't listening to this. So the
Nice.
next time I was in the Netherlands, that job ended up working out. Less space cakes, more work. I am on a work trip, and I'm here with the Dota team. They're like on the other side of this wall. On the other side of that, on the other side of that wall, they're playing games right now. Their season starts again.
How are you enjoying seeing the Dota team in person?
It's great. I mean, don't tell the others, but like Aiden's really cool. Um,
Yeah, he is. It's unfortunate. He's too cool, really.
he was like, "Oh, you're gonna record a show with Cap, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, I used to listen to some of those." And I'm like, "Cool."
Used to. What
used
happened?
used to. He's like, "Yeah, sometimes it's just like nice to have your friends like talking in your ears while you're doing other stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to. It's fine if you don't listen, Aiden. It's cool. I don't know. He might walk by. Um, it is what it is. I'm excited to be here. Do you know so there's something that I don't understand about the Netherlands. No one has ice cubes. There's like no ice cubes anywhere. Like all the water just has to
And what
be
do you
like
need ice cubes for?
for colder water or for sucking on.
Ellie does complain that Americans overuse ice all the time in beverages.
Interesting. Okay. I'm also what I've learned is that the Netherlands has small sinks. All the sinks here too small. They're very small. Very small sinks.
What are your hands too big? I'm confused how a sink could be too small.
I'm gonna send you a picture of the sinks that I'm seeing. They're too small. Also, I don't quite understand this toilet situation that they have going on here. Like
Okay.
you poop and then it just like sits there. Like it's not like in any
Oh, you got one
water.
of those. You got one of those shelf ones. Yeah, it's for you to inspect afterwards.
But like if it's any level of like sticky, you really need like a lot of water to push it through. Otherwise, it just kind of sits there, and you gotta like flush a couple times. Something feels. I feel like they didn't do the bathroom thing right in the Netherlands. But I guess also like the idea of water closets is bullshit, and I don't know how. I know that a lot of people for fucking in Europe listen to the show, but like the idea of water closets is bullshit. It's uncomfortably small. It's just a hot box for poopy smells, and there's like if you're someone who's even like the lightest bit claustrophobic, there's like nowhere to like stretch out or extend a leg or like you're oftentimes sitting and fucking your nose is touching the
Wait,
door.
Joey, are you one of those people who needs to get like fully naked to go poop?
I am not.
Is that what the problem? Is
I
that what the problem is
I
here?
am not a fully naked poop person. Sometimes when I'm in the comfort of my own home, I can be a fully naked poop person. Uh, but not definitely not at the office. But I don't like all these bathrooms are so small that like you close the door and you can barely like turn around because there's like less than 6 inches between the front lip of the toilet and the door. Why?
Get in, get out. Trying to limit the amount of time you're in there. You're not supposed to be there relaxing. You're at work right now.
I guess so I can go wash my hands in
Have
their
you heard about
small
those
sink.
toilets that there's supposed to be like a decline or something like that, so it's uncomfortable to sit on them for long periods of time to incentivize people to get the fuck back to work?
That sounds like
That's some
some.
dystopian level shit.
They're installed at all Amazon and Tesla buildings.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So you have oh my god, I just saw Matu. Wow. You have any interesting stories from your limited time there?
not. I'm hoping that when I get back, I will have more stories. Like there'll probably be an episode of me talking like an idiot for people who like those. I I have boring stories. I flew out on a Thursday. I almost did not make my flight. If I did not have TSA pre-check, I would have missed my flight 100%.
Why? What happened?
Uh, my flight was at 6. I left the house at 3. I experienced what?
Go on. I'm just failing to see like how the fuck could you have possibly missed your flight?
I experienced way more traffic than anticipated, which is a thing as an Angelino I should be more accustomed to, right? And I got to the airport 25 minutes before the gate was going to close for my international flight.
What the? Wait, where? It takes you it took you 2.5 hours to get to your what?
It took me an hour to get to Santa Monica, and then it took me over an hour to get to LAX.
Oh.
It,
Maybe I'm just privileged living in Glen. I've never experienced any level of that traffic going to the airport ever.
I never have either, which is why I accompanied. I thought I took more than enough time to get there, and I'm someone who likes to get to the airport like less than an hour before their plane boards.
Yeah.
I get to the airport pretty like I don't fuck around hanging out in the terminal. Like I get to the airport, then like the plane's boarding in 5 minutes. So it's like cool. I was efficient with my time. But so I get to the airport. I get out of my Uber knowing that I have 25 minutes till my plane is about to board, and I'm like, you know what? This is a little stressful, but it's going to be okay. I have TSA pre-check. It's going to be okay. Normally that's like 10 minutes at most, and then I have 15 minutes to get to the the gate, right? I get through TSA pre-check. It's a little bit longer than normal. I have 15 minutes, like I anticipated, to get to the gate. But then the international terminal at LAX is under construction, and I had what I think is the farthest away gate possible from security. So much so that there was a...
Whoa, did you have to go to the underground area? Are you talking about that? Where it's like you arrive at the international area and then you have to take a slight right and then another left and then you have to walk and walk and walk and walk.
Yeah, it's terminal.
There's actually like the little shuttles. They have little driver things, courtesy vehicles to help people get there because it's so far away.
Yes, it is terminal.
I hate that new part.
It's terminal B for anybody who's curious. Because there's A, B, and C right now in Tom Bradley, and I had a B gate, and I started panicking because I read a sign that said 20-minute walk to gate. And I was like, what? It's going to take me 20 minutes to walk to the gate? I have less than 15. So I decided that the only natural thing to do was to run. And I made it to the gate as they were just about to finish boarding. I probably had 5 minutes to spare. But I looked fucking disgusting, Austin. My mask that I was wearing was like, there wasn't just a like sweat marks on it. There was like a pool of sweat at the bottom of my N95. Like there's like a shot of sweat, and my face looks like I just got out of a goddamn sauna because I don't do a lot of running. It's the worst kind of cardio, and also I'm a little bit out of shape. But I could not miss this flight, so I ran like 10 minutes through LAX. I dropped my backpack. It was a disaster, but I got on the plane. I got here. I successfully combated jet lag. We filmed a bunch of stuff with the DOTA team. We filmed a bunch of stuff with the DOTA team on Saturday, which is all going to be coming out around the Arlington Major and TI, which I'm super excited about. I got a new show that I was doing for SAP. that I think went pretty well. It's like it's kind of like React content. I saw a comment on the Reddit once that like no one really sits down with these players and like has them go through their old games, and I was like, cool, bet I'll just make that show. So we did.
Yeah. Now you're gonna get 0 viewers on it, and then that same person's gonna make that same comment 2 years from now. Why doesn't anybody make these content?
Yeah. Speaking
No,
speak.
I hope you do get viewers, but that is the that's how I feel about Reddit sometimes, is that it's like a lot of content, Dota content just doesn't get consumed. That's good.
It's a fruitless job. If you're someone who is a fan of, say, Team Liquid or Cap or Dota adjacent content or D&D, and you want to talk about content that like isn't canonically getting viewed a lot, this week is part 5 and the final part 6 of our first attempt at doing a D&D campaign, which you participated in with Moxie
I did.
and Asa.
I did, yeah. Asa.
Asa. Oh my god, yeah, I have to edit that now. I'm tired. Asa, Cap, Moxie, BSJ, and Insania all did a D&D campaign that I'm biased. I helped make this thing. I think it's a really good end product that's produced pretty well. There's a lot of nice animations in it.
The animation is very good. It's a little sad. Yeah, I'm looking over the view count right now. 1K for most of the videos, 6K for the first one. But yeah, it doesn't really seem like it really latched on anywhere. But the animation, it's a shame because the animation I think is very, very well done. I think the D&D stuff was okay. I think we did an alright job. I thought we were entertaining enough. But yeah, I think the animation is really, really good. But yeah, we had Asa on. I actually had a small funny story. I went to at the major. I went to, it was Blitz's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So Liquid bombed out, but
And
but
you went to
Blitz
get
did
pasta.
have a birthday there.
Yeah.
Pasta? Wait, what?
Was pasta? I sorry.
No.
Okay, never mind.
No.
Okay.
What? No.
I thought I was gonna
Wait.
butt into part of the story, but that's okay.
No,
I'm
we
gonna
went to
drink my
do
water.
karaoke.
Mm.
Blitz had a large birthday group, and he asked for me to come out. So after I was done, I think Friday night at the major, after we recorded our show and everything, I went and caught up with them at the karaoke bar because, to be honest, I didn't really want to do it, but it was Blitz's birthday, so I felt compelled to do it for my very good friend. And yeah, so I go there. And I'm the first one there, which may be a little bit irritating because I was there later than we originally agreed upon, and I dropped out of that Red Bull show to get there, and so I show up there, and then 3 people show up 5 minutes later. We're like a total group of like 15 or something like that. We've gotten 2 different karaoke rooms, and the next 3 people, we go in, it's cold outside, and we go to see if we can get started and like get in one of the rooms, and I should tell them the reservation and stuff like that, and the bouncers out front of this karaoke bar, they would not let all of us in because some of us were wearing sweatpants.
What?
Yes, exactly. I was just like, what kind of
this
fucking
is
karaoke bar is this?
this
Like,
is
what the fuck? They have a
business?
dress code?
This is business
Yes.
karaoke?
Yes, I guess so. I mean, this I guess is a nicer karaoke bar. I didn't really notice. I mean, it was nice, I guess, but it didn't really strike me as something incredible. But yes, there was a dress code for this karaoke bar, and we've got a group of like 15 gamers. You know, like what are the chances that a couple of them are going to be wearing sweatpants? Probably pretty high. And so we're talking about that, and like the one guy's like, "Ah, fuck, maybe I'm just not going to be able to get in." I messaged the rest of the group. I'm just like, "Hey, letting you guys know there's apparently a dress code," and people are like, "Wait, what? There's a dress code?" Like, I'm wearing like slippers and like shit like that, and we're sitting there. And I'm like, "Ah, man." that kind of sucks. We're not going to be able to get in. But we're just going to wait until everyone's there. They want us to wait until our full group is there before they let us in. And I'm sitting there and I'm going like, wait a minute. We have a fucking movie star in our group. Like, what the fuck? They're not gonna say no to us. Like, yeah, they're gonna see fucking 15 of us, and then we're gonna put how the fucking movie star is gonna walk forward and say like, "Hey, can we get our karaoke room?" And I'm pretty sure we're gonna be fine. And sure enough, that's kind of what happened. Our full group got there, and they let everybody in. So. But yes, that was the first time I realized, like, wait a minute, there's this person who's like legitimately famous here. Like, why am I worried about a dress code of everybody?
That's really funny. What was your karaoke song?
What is my karaoke song? I don't really have a specific karaoke song. I think I'm pretty good with karaoke. I'm relatively confident. I sing loud. I get into the mood.
So it's like Avril Lavigne.
Yeah, sure. I'll sing whatever as long as I know the lyrics to it. I'll sing it. You know, they would bring some stuff up that I definitely didn't know. I'm also the kind of person who's like wants to help people. So if like somebody pulls out a song and nobody else knows it, I'll try it and help even if I don't know it either.
Wow.
But you know, that's it's just one of those things. Karaoke's only fun if you're like getting into it. You know.
A true karaoke support.
Yeah.
Karaoke's only fun if I've had at least 5 drinks.
Oh, I don't drink at all for it. So.
I know. I carry.
You just got to jump right in there. And then I did karaoke again at the after party of the Stockholm Major, which may or may not be where I got COVID, because I got COVID again when I came back. So that's fun.
Dude, this was such a bummer for me. Okay, I understand that you got COVID again, and we can talk about, oh man, that sucks. But like, I was fucking trying to hire you to do a goddamn job, and you got to come back to America and be like, sorry, Joey, I can't work for you. I have COVID. Really inconvenient, where you're not thinking about me.
I was thinking about you. That's why I specifically went and got a test to make sure that I did indeed have COVID. You know, I was thinking about you. But yeah, that sucked. I was looking forward to doing that show. But then you did the show anyway. And I only caught like literally the last like 2 minutes of it. Like it was like you guys finished up the last streamer and then thanked production. And yeah, I was like, oh, I guess I'm here late.
The best part, the worst part about that, and don't share anybody with Liquid, is that for some reason they didn't agree to give me the same rate we were gonna give you. How fucked up is that, right?
Boo! Ruining the talent industry.
I know. We did a live show, and I'll share it with everybody later on Twitter. But basically, we raided people's streams and then ambushed them with a game show. Like in their chat, we're like, "You're live. Do you want to play our game show? If you go to the bathroom and unroll a roll of toilet paper on your camera in the next 60 seconds, we'll donate $100." And then we did that for a couple hours, and honestly, kind of fun.
Do you think it was good content? Because like I was always, because that's live content, right? So I'm always worried about like if you did that to say on my stream and I'm playing Dota, I would not notice you for 15 minutes.
Yeah, you would have been shit out of luck.
Did you have any of those moments where like somebody just wasn't watching or somebody wasn't receptive at all?
Everybody who registered for the show gave consent to be on the show.
Oh, you have to register. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yes. I think it's more fun to ambush people. It can be like a little bit more magical. But for this, because we needed to like have broadcast rights for people, because you're not supposed to re-stream people's streams without their consent on Twitch, right? So I needed to make sure that I had consent to re-stream their stream on mine. So everybody was kind of like waiting for us a little bit. So that made
also,
that part
it's kind
easier.
of BM if you went to random people's stream, because aren't you representing like Coinbase or something?
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of those things where like corporation donates money on big streamers, like, and it's basically just becomes an ad for them. So that's another reason.
Hold on. Are you saying my show was an ad for Coinbase? Shit.
No, I mean, wait, you haven't seen any of those? Some of these like peripheral companies or something. They'll donate to like big streamers. Like they'll donate like 500 subs. HyperX donates 500 subs to like some streamer, and obviously like the views that they get for that money that they spent is like super worth for them, right? It's kind of shitty because they're basically just like they're advertising through that streamer without their like kind of consent in a weird way.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, world's fucked. Anywho, I'm sorry. How was your second COVID?
Second COVID was fine. It was way more minor than the first round, but yes,
No bathtubs.
A lot of people got COVID at that fucking event. It was a fucking super spreader event, is from what I gather.
Aiden got COVID. He was telling me about it.
Yeah, I know. I might have gotten it from him. I sat with him and his family when I was trying to convince him to come on to my fucking show. I fucking went and sat with his whole family and met everybody and stuff like that. So I may have gotten it from him. But,
real bummer.
Yeah.
I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to come because I thought I had COVID again also. And before I left, I took 4 different COVID tests. And they all came back negative. And I still didn't feel great because like I was 48 hours removed from like having a fever and I took an international flight. But I felt fine when I flew. But I think that I'm just more cognizant of being sick around other people and like have more empathy towards that. But I'm happy I haven't had COVID yet. I'm still on my natural booster. Enough.
Yeah, you know how long it's been since I got COVID the first time? 6 months. You believe that? Fucking, it was like the fucking timer went off. You know,
Really?
it's like the antibodies were like, 6 months is over. Time for your COVID.
I thought it was
what the fuck?
I thought it was TI though, right? So wasn't it like I guess that was early November, yeah?
That was October. Yeah, that was October, mid-October, and then I also got a booster in December.
Dude.
I got really fucked. My immune system sucks, man.
So are we just gonna be living with everybody getting COVID once a year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, some version of that. Yes, I assume this is going to be going around for a while, kind of like the flu. So probably just going to have to get regular boosters for it, stuff like that.
I'll be excited if they can mix the flu shot and the COVID shot into one that I can take yearly.
Yeah, that would be nice. What else we got? TI was announced. We'd probably talk about that.
Oh shit, we're doing a DOTA show. It's been 20 minutes.
I'm trying to speed things along because we missed 2 weeks of content. So
I know it's my fault. I'm sorry, everybody. Sick. We're both sick. What? So I'm excited about Singapore. I think we touched on that before, but now we know for sure like the dates and the format. And can you go over that?
All right. So here's how it breaks down. There's a last chance qualifier that people and myself were pretty excited about. And they are putting that into TI, which I was a little bit surprised. I thought it was going to be a separate tournament, considering the number of teams. I thought they were just going to make it like a small LAN event sort of thing, but they're actually rolling it into TI, so it's going to be in Singapore. So it starts with the last chance qualifier, 8th through 12th. And then there is a 2-day break, and then we began the group stages for TI, which is 20 teams. And then that goes on till the 18th, and we have a break day on the 19th. And then playoffs begins, and playoffs starts in a stadium thing called Suntec Singapore. But it's not like the actual stadium that the finals are going to be in. It's like a convention center sort of thing, looks like, or something like that. So that is going to go on for 4 days of playoffs. And then we have a few more days of a break midway through the playoffs. And this is the biggest change.
5.
It's like the last chance qualifier being added in. Yeah, 5 days. 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. So, or 28th rather. So 5-day break in the middle of playoffs. And then we play the final 2 days, the grand finals of TI, which is the final 2 days, which I was going to look this up earlier, and then I forgot to. I think it's something like 6 teams on the final 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly, but yeah. And that will be in the big stadium, the Singapore Indoor Stadium, on Saturday and Sunday, the 29th and 30th. So having a break during the playoffs is the biggest change, both for attendees as well as for the actual players. Because it used to be TI was a festival, week-long festival that people could basically go to and hop in and out of. It's a long, exhausting, like it's a bit of a gruel if you actually do go there to
To
watch
watch
all of
all
the
the
games.
games, it's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's why Seattle was always so nice because there was a nice area around the Key Arena, where you didn't feel compelled to watch every single game. There was the outside viewing area on the grass that you could go out there and get some sun in the middle of the day, go get some food, watch it outdoors. So that was always nice, and that was kind of always what TI was this week long deal. And that's why the opening of TI was usually like relatively, there wasn't a whole lot of viewers for that because most people are only going to show up for the final 3 days or so. But this time around, they are separating the actual finals in a stadium only 2 days. So you can expect at least a packed house for the finals, particularly in Southeast Asia. But I do wonder what attendance is going to be like for those going to the conference area the previous week because I don't know how many people really want to stay there for 2 weeks to watch all of the playoffs of TI. That sounds a bit unreasonable.
Can I do the thing that I'm really good at and bring this back to talking about myself?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
How does this affect you, Joey?
thank you so much, Austin. uh, I have full intent on going to TI this year.
Yeah.
For work reasons. There's a 5-day break in the middle of playoffs. Even if I'm just going for playoffs, like me and the people I'll be going with just need to like hang out in Singapore for 5 days and do what? I mean, so one hand, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I might just have like a vacation in Singapore for 5 days with not much else to do. Like that's kind of cool, right? But also like that's hard to justify like a spend from a company or anything else. Like that's people who, if it was just 7 days straight, the whole event's going on, you're working the whole time, what have you. If it's 4 days, then 5 days off, then 2 more days, then it's almost 2 weeks of just being there, which is just way more expensive, especially in a place like Singapore. So like I'm interested in how this affects like just the general vibe of TI because TI has always been like as much of a convention for like the staff and the teams and everybody else that it is for the audience, right? It's a group of people who are all in the same place for a week consistently. But now, like, take it like teams. There's going to be how many teams there the last couple of days? So there's probably not going to be a bunch of teams that are like in the arena for those last couple of days. Talent, probably. Like, I'm so interested in what your situation's going to be like, or the general talent situation. Like, are they going to be hiring completely different groups of people for each of the 4 different stages, and do you just go the fuck home when you're done? And does that mean that like a bunch of people who, work in the space who want to be there for the grand finals will either need to finance themselves to be there or like go home?
You know what's super interesting is that with the current TI format, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that play on the second to last day because the lower bracket matches, one of them happens. So this year, one of the lower bracket round 4. So this would be like top 6 going into top 4. One of those matches happened on the 15th, and the other match happened on the 16th, which is the second to last day. So now that
They
it does
can't do
make that
that.
whole
They
situation,
can't do that.
there's no way they can't do that, right? So now you're either choosing that you're only going to have 4 teams in the grand finals, and or they're going to include both of those teams, and we're going to have 6. I think that's how the numbers end up breaking down. Uh, so yeah, that's just a little interesting wrinkle that I just found out there. But yeah, 4 or 6 teams that are going to be in the grand finals at the stadium where everybody wants to be able to see them, which is kind of weird. It is also very weird for, I would say, your guys' situation where like all teams, right? Their team qualifies for TI and stuff like that, but they're gonna go for that first bit, and then if their team gets knocked out, there's nothing to do for the grand
Do
final
we
bit, so
pre-book
there's pointless
hotels?
to stay there.
Right?
Yeah.
Do I need to book a hotel for the whole time, even though like we might not be there? Like,
Yeah, what are the chances you get like being one of the top 6 teams at a TI, and let's say maybe it's less, maybe it's top 4. Like, what the chance of being a top 4 team at TI? I feel like is slim for any team, really.
that's
Like, you
true.
can't guarantee that for anybody.
I'm confident. Okay, let's start there.
Yeah, were you confident about Stockholm Major?
Yeah, but like that's in the past.
Okay, yeah, sure,
It's
sure,
in the
sure. It's in the
past.
past.
It's in
It's
the.
the recent past, but it's in the past.
They're gonna win this DPC season.
Yeah. All right. I can dig it. The talent situation is going to be super weird, because this goes from the 8th to the 30th. What are the chances that Valve is hiring talent to be there from basically the beginning of October for a full month, right? Because you're not getting in the 8th, you're probably getting in the 5th or 6th.
That is so
So
expensive.
yes, in Singapore. So what are the chances that they're hiring all the talent to be there for the full time? I highly doubt it. But at the same time, even though this goes on for a full month almost, the break days are very few. So the biggest break day is just the difference between playoffs and the finals in the stadium. But if you're hiring talent for the playoffs and say you don't need them for the stadium, in my opinion, it'd be kind of fucked up to be like, okay, goodbye, go home now. you know, I feel like in some way, it's a lot to ask, but I feel like in some way, if you hire them for the playoffs, you should extend at least like hotel and a VIP pass to the actual stadium, you know? But that's where the biggest break comes in, which is also where the most amount of money could be saved in hiring specific talent. Like if you only want specific talent for the stadium event, then what do you do with the guys that you're not hiring for that? And
That's 7 days, right? Like that's 7 days of needing to buy that talent a hotel. That's
yeah,
just conservatively say $1,500.
yeah, and then also like is the talent at the start of the show going to be the same as the end of the show, which I also kind of doubt. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if this was how I would do things if I was Valve. I'd look at how there's so many days here, broadcast days for this TI, that I would try and get different. I would amp up basically the talent, where I would hire kind of like the tier 2 talent for the last chance qualifier and maybe some of groups. And then I would bring in the tier 1 talent for groups, playoffs, and stadium day. That's how I would split it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, do you give the let's say you did what I have in mind. Say you hire the tier 2 talent for your last chance qualifier. Feel like it's a little unreasonable to be like, okay, now pay for them to stay there the rest of the month so they can go to TI. I
Yeah,
feel like that's maybe a little bit too much of a stretch.
I'm so curious how they're gonna do it because like Not only from a business perspective, like we're talking about the business perspective, but there's also the social element. Like I want to go see my friends in Singapore at
Hmm.
TI. And I am now worried that a lot of people just won't be there because the only people they're going to keep around is like the 10 people who are working the last 2 days.
Yeah. And this conceivably, if they do split up the talent in that regard, also cuts down the number of days that talent are getting hired for TI, which may affect our rate for TI, which is another bit of a sticking point. Um, you know, TI represents, much like for players, where it represents a very large percentage, not nearly the same for talent, but TI effectively does take up like 3 months of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like no other events that happen leading up to TI itself, and the fallout from TI. So it represents a large percentage where you just cannot get a job. And so getting hired for TI is important, and getting paid obviously to represent the loss of any other kind of work, because TI is the only event in town. You know, that's also important. So
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that's people's yearly bottom lines could potentially be affected based on how things are broken out.
yeah, for a lot of talent, TI represents anywhere between, let's say, 20 to 50% of their yearly income.
Yeah, that's
It's a
scary.
lot. Yeah. So, and I think missing out on that could effectively change someone's decision or their career path, effectively, of like whether or not they try and keep it going. So, interesting, interesting times. I'm definitely looking forward to what's going to be happening for that. I personally hope that I hope they hire the same talent for the start to the finish, because I was very hyped for the last chance qualifier. I really want to be able to cover that, because I think that is. I always liked the wild cards. That was like where I got started as a commentator. Was like I got hired for TI. I got to cast group stage matches. I got
Mm-hmm.
to cast some of those wild card matches, and so I think they're super exciting. And in very often, at least one team that does well in those situations goes on and gets like a lot of momentum and does very well at TI, and it creates those Cinderella runs like CDEC, second at TI 5, right? Started in the wild cards.
I'm also, you're talking about like teams and regions and Cinderella stories, right? I'm interested in what could be a potential bummer if you only have 4 teams the last 2 days in this arena. None of them are C teams. Like I feel like the benefit of
Ah,
some of the old, way that you did TI was that like everybody always had a representative in the arena, right? And that just won't be the case.
yes.
That won't be the case.
I would only be worried. I'm not worried about that for Southeast Asia. No, I'm not worried about that in the slightest for Southeast Asia. Not because I think that we're guaranteed teams in top 4, top 6 from C, though I think pretty good chance. But it's more so that I think Southeast Asia, I think, is just incredibly fanatic of a fan base for Dota. And I've been in there enough times. I've seen enough of the fans. They don't give a shit. Like obviously they want to be able to have a good C team, but if there's fucking Secret there, they're gonna be super excited to see Secret. So I'm not worried about that. I would be worried about if they keep this format for future TIs almost anywhere else. I think that is a problem. You go anywhere in Europe, anywhere in China, holy shit, like that arena could be real empty. You know, um, you know, Eastern Europe, yeah. Any other place, I think you're gonna have a hard time. I don't know what South America viewership would be like for Dota in a stadium, but
Do you have any inkling as to why they decided to have this format change?
oh, I have no clue. I know there's a Justin Bieber concert going on. I think during the break days. I don't know. Maybe they just like couldn't find a spot. I kind of doubt it. I have to assume it has to do something with them wanting to scale down TI in some way. That they want to just squeeze it into just 2 days and have this super hype event. And this is the beginning of them scaling it down in that regard.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't even have a good hypothesis. Like even that feels like a decent hypothesis, but I've been thinking I don't really have a good reason as to why they wanted to do this. I assume it's like a business choice, but I can't put my finger on one or the other. So that's kind of what I'm curious about. I'm curious about the talent situation. I'm curious about how people are going to stay there for so long. I'm curious if Liquid's going to pay for you to be there for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And I'm curious why and how this reflects in later TIs. With that being said, big picture, super hype about Singapore. For the Sea fans, for myself personally, I've always wanted to go there. And I also think the last chance qualifiers are going to be like a thing that is here to stay.
Yeah, yeah. I think another note for the talent thing. I personally think it's important to be able to have voices building it from the start to the finish. If that makes any sense, you know. Like you want the people who are building your storylines to be the storytellers from start to finish. I don't think you want to necessarily change that too much, but
Mm-hmm.
that's my perspective on it. I also said that I would change the talent if I was Valve because I know that's what the community would like, right? The community wants to be able to see their people. Well, this is a chance to be able to like get everybody's people to show up at a quote unquote TI, and just have them, only cast the very first part. I mean, they've always done that, right? They've always hired people for like just groups, and then
Mm-hmm.
there are people who don't work playoffs at all. So this is just another extension of that in some ways. Um, there's another thing. Oh yeah, the teams themselves, right? Like that whole those break days are going to be super interesting. I hope there's going to be a lot of content recorded during those periods of time. Um,
With
it's
teams who
it's
are
a
like trying to
weird.
play. Like, if there's a team, I just imagine if there's fucking players who are gonna be in that top six, what have you, they're gonna be like, "Fuck you! I'm not recording anything. I gotta go play for a
Oh, I don't think
bajillion
their
dollars."
organization could get, but I think Valve could force them to. 100% Valve could force them to. They force them to do content for TI itself. So I think I hope Valve forces those teams to record some extra content for the stadium days. Because it is a really interesting perspective of like, you go from this intense groups into playoffs, and then you have this like weird break where you just get to prepare for all of the teams that are left because it's only top six or top four. There that means you can get a very intimate view into every single one of the teams that are left at TI, and the meta could change as a result of that. I think there are some teams that are going to be more favored if they make it into the break day, and some teams that like, can you still have Spirit win a TI with this kind of format?
Because
I
someone has time
feel
to
like
analyze them.
I feel like that Spirit would not win in this situation.
Because someone
I
goes, "Wait a
feel like
second,
the
bam,
outcome
Magnus."
is very different. I mean, I just think that like the way teams win TI period is very specific to a format. I think you change formats, I think you change the outcome. And I think that anytime if you have a break like this, killing momentum, giving time for other teams to prepare, I think all of that leads to less lower bracket fairy tale runs. That is my read on the situation. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sold on that theory.
It probably favors teams with more infrastructure too. Because what do you do with those 5 days when you have more money, like in analysts, in people who can do research for you, in people who can find practice partners? Like, I imagine that the infrastructure potentially helps too. Also, like, who are you scrimming for those 5 days?
Yeah, like there's probably going to be players and teams who stick around because TI after party, you want to start setting up your new team. But are those teams really together anymore? After like TI is a team killer, like once you bomb out, once you go and place less than you wanted to, less than you expected to, I think it kills most teams. And so, is that team really together? Are they really a good scrim partner for you in that case? I mean, you'll try, but it's very weird. Obviously, you're not going to play against any of the teams still in the tournament. The teams have been pretty adamant about not doing that. I know that like Secret had a big thing about just not scrimming teams, and just you know figuring it out as they go through, because you don't necessarily want to be showing what kind of team you are right before you play these guys. So
Yeah.
it's interesting for sure. There's a lot of big question marks, but biggest thing I want out of it is content. Content. I want to get more content on the teams and their process of preparing for the stadium days, and what's going through their heads. I mean, because effectively, like if you've already placed top six, you've already made pretty life changing amount of money, and it's only gonna go up from there. So it's a good retrospect, like go back through, like okay, take a moment, breathe. You've already guaranteed yourself. I mean, if you're talking to an upper bracket team, you've guaranteed yourself top three. You know, that's a successful year already. That's a interesting perspective to get in there. So
It could make for a really cool true side.
yeah,
Because
really good true sign opportunities. Yeah, really good matchup interviews as well, because you can literally talk to them about every single team that's left.
TI aside, what else you got for me, Cap?
That same announcement of the TI dates and everything came with a small little add-in at the end that we are going to get a patch, a gameplay patch, and I presume a battle pass. I'm guessing we're going to get a battle pass, but maybe it's still too early.
It might be
coming
too
in 2
early.
days.
I think if they
June 8th.
My theory is that if they want to push to have TI continue to have a larger prize pool this year, they will release it on June 8th because they will need the extra time. And if they don't, then it's going to be the year where the prize pool is smaller.
Yeah. I personally want it to be released as soon as possible, because I got a chance to talk to somebody at the Stockholm Major, and I felt this way, but this is just one of those like anecdotes that kind of like further cemented my theory. I feel like Aghanim's Labyrinth is an amazing way to introduce people to Dota. People who have watched Dota and are caught up in the insecurity of like, this game's really intense, it's really complex. I don't want to go into a game and get yelled at by people because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, all that anxiety that comes with playing Dota, you get away from all of that and you familiarize them with the game and the heroes really well with Aghanim's Labyrinth. I think Aghanim's Labyrinth is an amazing addition to Dota, and I just wish it was there more often, so that you could keep getting. You're not going to get very many new people, but you are going to get a few. And I actually did meet someone at the Stockholm Major who was like, yeah, I'm a new Dota fan. He started playing in like 2019, 2020 or something like that. I was like, what?
And
new
you're like,
Dota fan?
How did
and
that happen?
He got in because of Aghanim's Labyrinth. That's how he got in. So, yeah. So I hope the Battle Pass is released, just because I think that hopefully will come with Aghanim's Labyrinth, and I like playing it, but I also think it's good for Dota through and through.
Well, I just want to play Aghanim's Labyrinth. For selfishly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, one more side note about TI. The break also, in a way, not like 1-to-1, but in some ways it does emulate the DPC. Remember, my biggest complaint about the DPC was like, okay, these breaks, the teams that are able to qualify for TI are playing in a format that is not representative of TI, right? DPC is slow matches once a week. You get a huge amount of time to over prepare for a single team. And then you go into TI, and it's like back-to-back matches. You need to be ready to just play Dota all the time. And in a way, they're obviously slowing down TI by changing this format, which does emulate the DPC format change a bit. Not like there's still going to be intense days where you have to play a bunch of matches in groups and then you have to go playoffs, potentially play 2 matches in a day. But there is at least that big break day. So that is kind of interesting. So it does in general just create a change of how to play Dota professionally, which I think leaves opportunities for more newer players, I guess, to be able to get in. If that makes any sense.
That tracks for me. That tracks for me. Do you want to shift on over to rounding this out with a Patreon question? Because I have one last train I could possibly catch, and it's in 25 minutes. Otherwise, I have to walk home.
Okay. Yeah, we can close it out now. Okay, our final question. You didn't include a name for this, Joey.
I fucked up the copy paste. I fucked it up. It's my fault.
All right, whoever's question this is, Joey deeply apologizes for leaving your name off. Thank you for supporting the Patreon. What's your opinion on casters, analysts swearing at big events? Everything else about the production seems on par with physical sports, but swearing feels jarring to me. What's your take on it first, Joey?
I like it. That's the short answer. The short answer is I like it because I feel like with our medium, we should not be parroting sports 1-to-1. And one of the benefits of not being on network broadcast television is that sometimes if we want to say fuck because it's good for the scenario, then we can and should. I think that it is fine to use it as long as it is like protected and not overused. I don't want to tune into a professional broadcast where you're going, fuck this guy and this guy's an idiot and what a shithead and this is a dumbass item build. I think that is bad for like just broadcasting in general, right? Like I think that's bad broadcasting. But I think every now and then, if the moment calls for it, if the cast calls for it, the panel calls for it, where like one slips by and it's a hype moment and it's not gratuitous, then it only raises my excitement as a fan, because sometimes you get to use those languages, those cusses, to elevate because it is special, right? That's my opinion.
Ding, 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 motherfucker. That's a great line from LD that I think is a great example of it elevating the broadcast because it was a hype moment and his language reflected the excitement of what was going on. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that the biggest thing is that you want... What's more important for esports, and it's reflective of like the streaming that is surrounding esports, since it's on the same site, is the fact that like everything needs to be more natural. You need everybody to actually be acting the way that they would. And obviously curtailing your language is just a step of like taking away from how you would actually act, right? And I think that authenticity that is brought to esports does come with obviously rougher language. You still obviously do cut back and you're not as fluid with your language, and you don't just drop fuck bombs everywhere like I usually do when you get onto the mic. But Valve has a similar philosophy, I believe, where they basically said, like, we've kind of asked them, I think, almost every year. In fact, I almost tune out now when the question comes around, hey, what about swearing? They always say pretty much like, hey, like swearing, don't be dropping F-bombs everywhere, but we want you guys to do what is natural for you. And I think that's a pretty good shout out to Valve of recognizing the natural and authentic feel that esports brings, and trying to trying to nurture that as much as possible. Because if they don't say something like that, then everyone's naturally going to curtail their language without like Valve saying anything, right? Because in the back of your head, you're like, oh, I don't want Valve to get mad at me, right? So you don't start drop. Like I would never say fuck on a broadcast previously. That's not even TI broadcast. Like when I was just starting, I just wouldn't do it because I thought it wasn't like very. I thought it wasn't very fitting. Yeah, I thought it was a little over the top. That I just like should get around that as much as possible. And then I stopped working for a company, and then I became a freelancer, and I became pretty successful, and got hired to a lot of events. And I realized that I could kind of like say what I want to say, and nobody's ever had a problem with it. I've never had a single tournament organizer ever come up to me about my language if I've ever sworn in a broadcast. So
I think it only works when everybody is like on the same wavelength about it, though, because it gets to continue to be like special, even though it's not the best word to describe it, because no one is overusing it. As soon as one person does, then it becomes noticeable, and then it also becomes like less impactful. So it's like a collective thing to protect.
Yeah, for sure.
Matu's just
fucking Matu, that goddamn beard. He needs to cut that beard.
I'll go tell him you said that.
Needs to stop. I already told him at Stockholm.
What did he tell you?
I don't remember. He knows. It's one of those things where he's grown it out and he knows it's not the best looking, and I think he just doesn't give a fuck. Which I appreciate that about Matu. I love that he really just doesn't give a fuck about a lot of things. So very cool guy in that regard.
One of the pieces of content he recorded for us on Saturday was so fucking good, and he tipped his hat because like if he cares a little bit about something, or like if he's actually like invested in doing it, he'll make it good. And he's just pretending to like be a slouch and hate it. He's playing the mental game, and now I know I'm onto his tricks. I'm onto you, Matu. I'm going to wrap out the show because of the aforementioned I have to catch a train. I want to give a light production note onto the show that this episode is almost certainly more scuffed than normal because I am recording it not at home, and I'm realizing I didn't take any of my templates, any of the stuff I would normally edit it with to make it normalized with me. So I'm going to do the best I can, but it is going to look abnormal on YouTube, and it's probably going to sound a little bit worse on Spotify. If you realize that and you've got this far, sorry. Also, additional programming note, I'm on vacation for like 2 weeks, and I am going to try and thoroughly, truly, actually unplug. Like from everything.
Lazy.
So we're on summer vacation. And if you cannot help yourself to more content from Cap because you're like, I need this man in my life, I have to hear his voice, it's twitch.tv/CapCast. You should go hang out with him there.
Maybe I should do an episode. Should I do an episode? Can I do an episode and record it with somebody else and then send it to you? Upload
yes.
Podcast?
Yeah. If you manage to make that work, don't make an empty promise now, because this is going to go on the episode. People are going to hear this.
No, I'll do it. I mean, okay. So my end note to the show is I didn't get hired for shit for this third season. So you won't see me in any DPC podcast. So it does mean I'm going to be streaming more. So please come watch my stream because I've literally got fuck all else to do. I'm literally going to do some charity work because I just feel like I should do something productive.
That's why you asked me about that.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to go help the tree people. I think is the charity organization that I settled on. So that because I have like fucking 6 or 7 weeks, and more likely like 9 weeks of free time. So I've got to do something productive. So please come watch my stream, and I'll record an episode of the podcast. Don't worry, I got you guys.
Cool. Please talk to me about that before you do it. I can help you with the settings. I will see you all in like 3 weeks. I'm gonna be on a fucking island in Greece, and I'm gonna throw my phone in the ocean. Bye.